All right. Well, good evening and welcome, everybody. This is Dorothy Cummings, beginning our CDNY Country Dance Lore program. Tonight's performer, I would say speaker, but she's speaking and playing piano, is Cynthia Shaw. In just a few moments, we're going to get started. We're just going to wait a minute or two to see if we have others to admit, and then we'll just go right on.
Can we see ourselves?
Yeah, you should be able to. Just scroll down the side, Marcia.
Oh, you hear us. That's good.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
I'm glad you see us.
Yeah.
Hi, Cynthia.
Hey, who's that?
Sharon McKinley.
Oh,
Welcome, Sharon.
Hi. Hello, Sharon. What are you nibbling on?
There's Orly.
Hello, Orly. All right. Well, we've got a nice grouping of participants. Welcome to CDNY's Country Dance Lore. We're going to go ahead and get started. Tonight's talk is by Cynthia Shaw. Cynthia, if you go to CDNY regular programming, Cynthia is there at the piano, often playing in a wonderfully articulate style, making us light on our feet, and generally making a good time happen. I want to go over this evening's program format. It's just slightly different from the usual lore in terms of timing, and that is that the presentation is going to be a little longer. We're doing our announcements now. It's 7:35, which is a little earlier than usual. We'll begin presenting. I'll hand it over to Cynthia, and she's going to present some songs, some dance tunes and some stories. So it's a program in two parts: winter themes of music and stories, tunes that evoke a story. So in order that she can play all in a block, we're going to reserve the Q&A for the socializing time. So go ahead and key things into the chat box as usual, but we're going to put it in all at the very end at 8:20. As usual, this session is being recorded and it's also live streaming to Facebook. If you'd prefer not to have your face appear on Facebook, then you can turn your camera off. If you want to watch this recording, however, you can find it either on Facebook on Country Dance New York CDNY, that's our CDNY.org page on Facebook, or you can find it on YouTube at this link. And this link is also found on CDNY.org if you can't just grab it here. If you wish, you can turn off the video to avoid being live streamed. There's the stop video button. And we ask you to remain muted during the presentation. Go ahead and key in any questions, comments. Be as lively as you like in the chat box. It's a good time. But do stay off microphone. Keep that turned off. And there's the chat box. Coming up soon, it's CDNY Virtual. This Saturday at 7 p.m. is the Contra Dance virtual event, All Hands In. That's a national, actually international, because it's Canadian as well. And it's musicians Nathan Smith and Emlyn Stam with caller Jackie Grennan. And you can get full details on our website, on the calendar. It's got the link there as well, but it's the same every month, contradancelink.allhandsin. Next Thursday, you will be pleased to know that our very own Cynthia Shaw is leading CDNY Live, which is a variety show. So in addition to Cynthia on piano and voice, there will be friends, Dominique Kanye, perhaps others. Cynthia, did you want to mention a little bit about that?
Yeah, Zara Lawler will be the featured guest next week. And then also there is a pub, I forget, I don't know these people. One's a woodworker and the other one is a publisher, I believe, or something. And they're going to be demonstrating things for us. So I won't be playing, I'll just be hosting. So I lead a song at the beginning. So, but it's a really fun hour. So join.
It's a good time. I've been enjoying myself at it, tearing up the chat box in there. If you have feedback about this lore series or of things that you think that would be good for English country dance at CDNY, please send it to englishprogram@cdny.org, or if you already know my personal email address, that's fine too. I just didn't want to broadcast it. If you wish, you may make a donation to CDNY at cdny.org/give. Before we get started, I want to announce what's happening in 2 weeks. Beverly Francis will be leading, and the topic she's speaking on February 4th is Dancing in New York Then and Now, giving a snapshot of what it was like when Beverly started dancing, programs, etc. Tonight, I'm Dorothy Cummings. I am your chatty host. Jeff Berry, thank you for running the Zoom controls and live streaming us to Facebook. And Paul Ross, thanks very much for running the door and collecting everybody's questions from the chat box. So Sledding with Cynthia, Winter Tunes and Memories, as I said, it's in 2 parts. The first part is winter themed tunes, winter themes, and part 2 is tunes that evoke a story. So now I pass it over to Cynthia.
Hi, everybody. I'm really glad you're all here. This is really awesome. And I have to thank CDNY and Dorothy and Jeff and Paul for hosting this evening and just making it possible. I've had a really good time putting this program together. And I thought, since yesterday was the inauguration, that I should play an inauguration tune. But there's not really an English country dance tune that's an inauguration tune, but there is a tune called Mr. Hamilton's Inauguration. So I'll play that for you. So I just think that's such an awesome tune. So I think that President Biden should have that tune also. Anyway, since we're in our winter themes, I wanted to play a waltz for you by John Austin, who was a longtime CDNY fiddle player, violinist, a wonderful classical violinist. And he also wrote many waltzes. And this one was written for his wife, Nancy. And Frieda Metz Herman wrote a waltz to it called December Waltz. So I have to thank John for writing such a beautiful, beautiful tune. Now, when it's wintertime, sometimes you're in Berkeley, California, and you might come across a tune called A Child's Christmas in Berkeley. Now, this tune was written by Rebecca King and Sharon Green, who used to live in New York with her husband, David. They returned to California. Sharon is a prolific dance caller and she writes amazing dances. So I thought it'd be really fun to feature a tune of Sharon's that Sharon wrote a dance to. So this is A Child's Christmas in Berkeley. Such an amazing tune, so cool. Now that tune and the Hamilton's tune are in the third Barnes book, the Green Book. So if you don't have that Green Book, there's all sorts of great new English dance tunes in it. So awesome. Now, when it's snowy outside, sometimes you might see a snowy egret. Now this dance is written to a waltz by Rachel Bell called the Blue Heron Waltz. And we're fortunate enough that Tom and Susan Amasay wrote a beautiful dance to this tune that was actually performed and danced to in the 2016 Playford Ball. So here is the Snowy Egret to the Blue Heron Waltz. Was a dance writer, I'd want to write a dance to that tune also. It's pretty great. Now, if it's really cold outside, where you really want to be is round about our coal fire. Been sitting round about the coal fire, you might be in the dark, in which case you would want to light a candle in the dark. this beautiful, beautiful waltz by Jonathan Jensen. I think Jonathan writes such amazing tunes, and I think that this one by far is my absolute favorite. So thank you, Jonathan. Now we have a video, and in this video, Paul Friedman, a fiddle player, friend, and wonderful fiddler, and I got together on Sunday, and we taped a tune called Crossing to Ireland, but Friedman Herman actually wrote a dance to this tune called Winter Waltz. Now, Fried only used the second half of the tune, but Paul and I like the first half, and we like the whole tune so much that we decided that we wanted to share it with you. So here is Crossing to Ireland, Winter Waltz. It's such a great tune, and Paul plays it so wonderfully. I love playing that with him. All right, now we're on to the second half of our program, and in this half, I have some tunes I want to play, but I also have some stories that are attached to these tunes. So the first one, the first tune that I want to play for you is Lily Bolero. And the story that goes with this is that for about 15 years, I was musical director of the New York Christmas Revels. And the Revels performed at Symphony Space in December for 4 or 5 performances. And each year we had a different cultural theme, like we had an Irish Revels or a French Revels or a Scandinavian Revels, all different kinds. And in 2000, we did a Victorian Revels. So at the same time that we were doing our Victorian Revels show, Garrison Keillor was performing at Town Hall. And on the weekend that we were doing our show, he was also doing a Victorian theme. So his people were madly on the internet looking for acts to have in their Victorian themed show, and they came across us. So he booked us to be in the show. So what we did was this. we did our Saturday afternoon. Well, no, we went for a dress rehearsal Saturday morning. Me, the Greenwich Morris Men, and the whole chorus. We went for a dress rehearsal. Then we went to Symphony Space. We did our afternoon performance. And then when we finished that performance, we got on the subway in our full Victorian regalia and went down to Town Hall and performed with Garrison on the Prairie Home Companion. All right. So first, David Jones sang Miss Houlihan's Christmas Cake, which is just such a fun song. You should look that up. And the chorus sang a choral number called, I think it was either called Evergreen or Greenwood or something like that. And then we had the Greenwich Morris Men dancing. Now the Greenwich Morris Men, we had decided to do Lily Bolero because the chorus could sing the second time through because there's words to it. But the Greenwich Morris Men are hitting sticks and everything, right? So Garrison Keillor said, oh yes, I've seen Morris Men, you know, I think they're really interesting and whatever. And Paul Friedman turned to Garrison and said, yes, Central Park, Bethesda Fountain, Easter Sunday, you were in a boat. And Garrison, he turned to the audience and he said, this man knows everything about my life. Now, there's a Belgian dance caller named Philippe Callens. And for many, many years, Philippe he also wrote many, many dances. So Philippe would travel to the United States like a whole bunch. He'd come here, lead workshops, weekends, everything, go back to Belgium, do his job, and come back. So he was going back and forth all the time. So at an auction here in New York, there was a gold lame woman's jacket that was at auction. And both Philippe and my husband David wanted this jacket. So I know Dorothy is getting the jacket ready, so you can see the jacket. Here it's coming up. Anyway, so both Philippe and there's the jacket. Isn't that awesome? So there's Philippe also. So you can understand why both Philippe and David wanted this jacket because it was just so amazing. Anyway, so they shared the jacket. That's what they decided to do. So Philippe would come to New York. He would wear the jackets here or whatever, and then he'd take it back to Belgium with him and he'd wear it in Belgium. Then he'd bring it back and then David would keep it and David would wear it to dances and stuff. And so this jacket went back and forth between New York and Belgium. So finally, in 2013, I went to Belgium. Philippe brought me over to play a dance weekend at Mala, Belgium, with Andrew Shaw. And at that point, he had decided that coming back and forth, it was just getting too crazy for him. So he asked if he could keep the jacket for good. And we said, of course, yes. So we took the jacket back to Philippe. So I'm sure he still has it. So the reason I think of Philippe is because there's a tune called The Red Star Line written by Kathy Talbotty, and it's written to a dance called Autumn in Amherst. And I just think it's just so beautiful. And every time I think of this tune, I always think of Philippe and that gold jacket. Western Massachusetts, there is a place called Pine Woods Camp. And country dancers go to Pine Woods Camp every summer to dance, to play music, to eat great food, to swim in Long Pond and Round Pond, and just have a totally immersive week of music and dancing. It's right outside of Plymouth, Massachusetts. So one summer, I was there with David, and after we were at Pine Woods Camp, we spent a couple of days in New Hampshire at Newfound Lake. And I was so full of music and dancing that I wrote this tune called Newfound Lake Waltz. So Sharon Green, who I mentioned in the first half, heard my tune, and she was inspired by it to write a dance to it that's also in the Green Barnes book called Newfound Home. So here is Newfound Waltz. So in 2010, CDNY, who had been dancing, the organization had been dancing at Metropolitan Dwayne Hall. It's now called a Church in the Village, but at that time we called it Dwayne Hall, actually. And in 2010, the church decided that they were going to renovate the dance floor, which was actually the basement gym, and they kicked us out. So CDNY scrambled to find new dance spaces. Now, CDNY had been dancing at this church for 59 years at that point. So you can imagine we were very firmly entrenched there. In the hall, it was in a gym, and in the gym there was a stage. And on the stage there was like this old white grand piano that had been played 10 gazillion times. It was totally beat up, poor piano, but that's what we played. But there were all these cases with food and flyers and sound equipment and just all this stuff. There was even a refrigerator on the stage, right? It was just, it really needed to be fixed up. So anyway, at the last dance that we did before we had to leave, I wrote this tune called Goodbye Dwayne Hall and performed it on January 10th, January 30th, 2010. You walk down the street to the church door. It used to be brown, now it's gray. You whiz past the guard who nods silently. I'll do that again. You whiz past the guard who nods silently. He's watching TV anyway. You run down the steps to the basement. You hear music starting to play. The room is quite bright and quite garish. You don your dance shoes and you say, goodbye, Dwayne Hall. Goodbye, dear old friend, that is all. The lights are atrocious, they burn through your eyes. The dancing ferocious, sweat fills up the skies. And when you're dancing toward heaven we rise. Goodbye, Dwayne Hall. The stage is a mess and chaotic. musicians and stands everywhere. The sound is in cabinets next to the food, and even a black Frigidaire. The kitchen has leftover biscuits. The sink is from 1902. There are hoops in the dance hall and lines on the floor and cold water in the bathrooms. Goodbye, Dwayne Hall. Goodbye, dear old friend, that is all. Maybe you've met your true love on the floor, or maybe there's someone whose face you abhor. We all think of people who've graced this dance floor. Goodbye, Dwayne Hall. So this is our last chance to dance here. For 59 years been our home. No music or dancing will resound in the walls. Our memory soon will be gone. As you pick your partner for the last dance and run to the full center set, a bittersweet memory will take hold of you. The dancing will live on, and yet, goodbye, Dwayne Hall. Goodbye, dear old friend, that is all. You'll be in our hearts as we walk out the door. We'll think of you fondly, you're never a bore. And in our new dance hall, when we take hands for, we'll think, goodbye, Dwayne Hall. Goodbye, Dwayne Hall. There's a video of that recording of that performance somewhere. We're still looking for it. Anyway, it was a very sad, sad day, which you can well enough imagine, for CDNY and all the dancers. We really thought we were never coming back. But miracles happen, and we did come back. So 3 years later, in 2013, we came back to CDNY, to Dwayne Hall, and were welcomed back with open arms and have actually been dancing there ever since. So we have a video of Barberini's tambourine at this dance, this first dance when we were back. And the thing about this video is that we're also playing a brand new piano, a new upright piano that we had purchased from Yamaha. So it was also a celebration of this piano. So in this recording, you will see Wayne Hanken playing ocarina and recorders, Paul Friedman on fiddle, me on the piano, and Paul Ross is calling the dance. So please enjoy Barberini's Tambourine from 2013.
Right to left.
sorry we couldn't go on further. There's a whole bunch of more times through the dance. But anyway, just give you a flavor of that wonderful celebratory evening that we had with our new piano and our new hall, and all was well with the world. So what's next? Oh, so I have another Pinewoods story. So for many years, I went to Pinewoods to American Week, but this one year, David, my husband, said, oh, I want to go to English American Week. Now, I'd never been to English American Week, and I didn't really know that much about English dancing. I hadn't danced very much, but he said, no, we have to go. So we go up to Pinewoods, and we go to the dance. We go to the dining hall for dinner on the first night that we got there, and we walk in, and all I see in the dining hall are old people, like people in their 60s or their 70s. Like, I mean, I'm talking about ancient people, gray hair, white hair. Oh my God. I was so upset. I was like, David, there's all these old people here. Oh God, this is just going to be a terrible, terrible week dancing. Oh my gosh. He said, no, don't worry. Everything will be okay. So I was like, right. So anyway, we had dinner and we went back to our cabin and changed clothes, and we went to the dance hall to C Sharp to the first evening dance. And they were playing Orleans Baffled. I will never forget Orleans Baffled. And on the dance floor were all of these old people dancing up a storm, flying all over the place, smiling and laughing and just tearing it up. So I knew from then on the week would be a great success. And it was. That tune. It's so great. All right, so I was thinking about, you know, how you have like your favorite dance partner. You love every time, you just love dancing with this one person. And sometimes it even goes further than that, that you actually have a dance that sits in your memory for a long time that was your actual favorite dance. And for me, that dance happened at General Theological Seminary. So David and Sharon Green David worked at General Theological Seminary for many, many, many years. And so CDNY reaped the benefits of their living there, because we would often have dances at their beautiful hall. It was this brown wood, high ceilings, like Tudor style, great sound. It was just awesome. So once a year, there was an event called the Yuletide Cotillion. And every year, Bare Necessities, the amazing band from Boston area, came and played for Yuletide Cotillion. And everybody would get dressed up and look beautiful and all sparkly and everything, and we would dance. So my favorite dance was at this particular Yuletide Cotillion, and my dance was with Susan St. Germain. So Susan and I were dancing Knives and Forks, which I'll play for you in a second. But there was something about like when you get into the groove with somebody and with your dance partner, and the whole dance, it's just like the two of you sort of just floating on the dance floor together. That was me and Susan. And there's this one moment in Knives and Forks where you and your partner like come together, and then you come together again. And I don't know, I just have that such strong memory of that. It was just such a beautiful, beautiful dance. So Susan, if you're on this, I hope maybe you remember that too. I don't know. So we have one more video for you. And this video is of Paul and me playing Speed the Plow. And the reason I wanted to do this is because every time Beverly Francis would call a dance, and if Paul and I were both playing for the dance, she always programmed Speed the Plow because she just loved the way Paul played this tune. So here we are with Speed the Plow. Hi everybody, I'm here with Paul Friedman.
Hi.
And we're gonna play Speed the Plow. And this is dedicated to Beverly Francis. You can see why Beverly loved that tune, right? Anyway, we're actually at the end of my program. I didn't realize it would go so quickly, but there you go. So I wanted to leave you all with a beautiful tune called Peace Be With You. And I think in these times and with everything going on, I think that we can all have a little peace be with you. So please enjoy this beautiful tune. Thank
Oh,
you.
Cynthia,
Thank you all.
what a lovely collection of tunes and stories, Cynthia. I personally, I felt like it was a nice trip down memory lane, and I actually feel my heart beat like slower, just relaxing as if we were at a dance. It feels very nice and familiar having you.
Oh, thank you. It was
If
really nice.
Cynthia had played one more tune, I would have just broken out crying.
Oh, thank you, Bob.
And I want to say something about one of the stories
Yes.
because I was there. You know how it is when they ask you, well, where were you when this and so happened and this, that, had that? You know, maybe 15 people were there, but 25 million say they were there. I was there that night in 2000. It was a great Victorian show, so many memories. And I remember we were told, don't get out of your costume, because we only had a couple of hours. The afternoon show, I believe, was at 2. We
Right.
finished about 4:15, 4:20, and I'm a stickler for time. And we had to be down there in costume. We were told, don't get out of costume. We're off and running. And when I say running, we had the God's own luck. Cynthia may not remember this. As we're coming down the stairs at 96th Street into the station, what's coming in but a number 2 express?
That's right.
2 stops, 72nd, 42nd. Out we went.
That's
Out
right.
we went to Town Hall, and we met some great people. They gave us hot soup. We were in the green room, et cetera, and we did our 8 minutes, 10 minutes, and David Jones did a splendid version of Miss Houlihan's Christmas Cake, and the Mars Dancers did their bit. And I think what we did, Cynthia reminded me of this, was Evergreen or something.
Yeah.
And back we went uptown because we had to be back by 7 o'clock. And don't you know, here we come down the stairs at 72nd Street, and 42nd, and what's coming up? But an number 3 express.
That's
And
right.
away we went. 2 stops later, there we were, and we got to Symphony Space 10 minutes just before curtain call.
That's right. So everybody doesn't know, that's Bob Rodriguez. He was in the Rebels chorus for all the years that there was Rebels. So
32 years. We started in 79, and I'm the only one, to my knowledge, that never missed, even in years when we weren't allowed to use Rebels because apparently it's a trade name and the mothership up in Cambridge. No. We did concerts. We even did a year, and Cynthia remembers this, at a church down in the 20s.
Holy Apostles, yep.
And we had no green room. We had no place to store anything. And I even got to tell a story to the kids of how the wren became the king of the birds. What a show it was.
Yeah,
And
it was really great. I'm so glad that you were there, Bob, and I'm so glad you were a part of that whole Rebels thing.
Me
Thank
too.
So as you can see, as we've begun talking among ourselves, we're going to move on to the Q&A and social part of this evening.
Okay.
A reminder that in 2 weeks, there will be another Country Dance Floor. Meantime, Paul has been collecting questions from chat, and Jeff has been collecting any questions from Facebook. And I'd just like to first of all, thank you all for attending. And I want to open this up to those on the call to ask questions, to chat with your own memories, and so forth. Paul, will you start us off with questions collected?
Well, in fact, there was only one, and that question, Cynthia, was, isn't there some additional backstory to the new piano that you'd like to tell us?
Oh, no. Well, the only backstory is that I had been urging CDNY to buy a new piano for a long time. It was like, you need a new piano. We really need a new piano. So finally, the board agreed to get a new piano. So I said, well, I'll go pick out the piano for you. Oh, thank you. So great. So I went to Faust Harrison. I went in the back room. I found this Yamaha upright, which I played, which I thought was awesome. And that was it. I called David Chandler and I was like, David, we have a piano. I picked out a piano for us. And he was like, I thought it would take like weeks and months. I thought you'd have to like be searching all over the place. I was like, no. And actually, Jeff Barry tells, is Jeff, I don't know if Jeff is here, but Jeff told the other half of the thing. Do you want to tell your part, Jeff?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So Cynthia's out there looking for pianos. She calls me up. She says, well, I spoke to David. We're going to get this piano. I said, okay, great. I'll call him. And I was working at NYU at the time, and my office was in the library. So those of you who know the NYU library, it's this big open atrium area, and it's got it has walkways around the edge, many floors. So I'm in the library where my office is, and Cynthia calls me, says, well, call him up. And I say, okay, fine, but I'm in the library. You can't just call on your phone in the library. So I step out into the atrium, and I'm standing there very quietly. Oh yeah, well, I'd like to get this piano. We're nonprofit. And they say, oh yeah, okay, fine, we'll knock 15% off of the price for you. I said, oh, that sounds great. I'll send you a check. And I forget who the treasurer was. Must have been Lee. Lee Goldberg must have been the treasurer at the time. So then I told Lee, okay, go ahead, send off the send off the check. But whenever someone mentions when we bought this piano, I always remember trying not to make too much noise in the library.
I just remember thinking everybody thought it would be like this long ordeal to buy this piano. I was like, nope, this is it. That's it. Done. And we still have it. So it's a great piano. So yeah. Any
I
other
think we
questions?
should add that that piano has been cared for by Dorothy for years. And then I think Christina, are you
Yeah,
there?
Christina.
The old
Flores.
one, yeah. And Christina, actually, Christina has a conflict. Otherwise, oh wait, she's here. So, Christina, tell us about the current piano.
Well, the piano, it's that the storeroom is scary down there now. The food bank has taken over. And actually we've actually some of the Contra people are actually helping to clean out that room now. I have been going down every week or two to humidify the piano, just to make sure that it's still in working order when we get back to being able to use it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get it tuned again, I think, when we
Well, tuning for
finally get
sure.
back.
Tuning for sure.
At least one
But-
tuning, maybe
but
two
it-
by the time we get back.
But
That
hopefully,
piano's going to need tunings like other people will need haircuts in this pandemic.
But Christina,
hopefully the hammers won't be rotted out and whatever for dried out. So
no, it'll be fine. Anyway, thank you for taking care of that piano all this time.
yeah, it's fine. I work at the food bank, so I'm there anyway, so it's good.
It's like watering plants, giving water to the piano.
Yeah. And I say that to people too. I say, I'm going down to water the piano. And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, people used to always ask me, why doesn't it grow? Why aren't there any little like baby pianos growing out the edges?
Maybe there are.
So I do have one more story. If I should tell my other story, I cut this story because I thought I didn't have enough time, but I was so efficient in my presentation that I have a little time. So this story has to do with Wayne Hanken. I don't know if Wayne is on this call. Anyway, so Wayne Hanken is a wonderful, as I said, recorder player, and he worked many years with Cirque du Soleil and with many early music groups in New York. And so and Wayne would play for dances. So Wayne got this job at the John C. Campbell Folk School of Music in Brasstown, North Carolina, I think it is. He got this job for he and I to play a concert together. And so, we practiced and everything, and we drove down in his gigantic, he has like this gigantic Buick, this boat. And, but David and I also have a car, but we parked our car in Brooklyn on 4th Avenue. And we figured we'd probably get a ticket, but that was okay. We were fine with that. So we drove out down with Wayne to North Carolina. We did the concert on Saturday night. And Sunday morning we got up and we were staying at our host's house, and they had the TV on. And on the TV, the news was on, and what was on the news but the New York City Marathon. Now, the New York City Marathon runs down 4th Avenue in Brooklyn, and our car was parked on 4th Avenue in Brooklyn. And they always, all the cars on 4th Avenue, they have to tow them all away, all of them, to get them off the street. All night long, they spend all night towing all the cars away. And so we were like, oh my God, our car is on 4th Avenue. What are we gonna do? But obviously there's nothing we could do. So we came back, and of course we look, and our car is gone. It's gone. So I was like, what should we do? So I called the police station. And sure enough, they had a log of every car they had towed and every car exactly where they put it. And so they told us, oh, your car is on 3rd Street between 3rd and 4th Avenues. And we walked over there, and sure enough, there was our car. So just that horrible feeling, like when you're away and something happens and you're like, uh-oh, there's nothing I can do. I always think of that concert. Oh my gosh. Anyway, it was really fun.
I hope the concert was worth it.
Yeah, it was. I don't know, driving 800 miles to play one concert. I don't know, but it was fun. We had a good time. The three of us had a really nice time together. So, and Brasstown, if you've never been down to that school, it's really amazing. The dancing, and they have a whole, they have a school that makes people come to study folk arts. So, yeah, it's really neat. They have a great Christmas week and everything. So it's really nice. Any other questions? Any other questions? No?
Your concert, Cynthia, reminds me, I have a T-shirt that someday I'll show you if we get together again, I hope, that says, I've gone a hell of a lot further for a hell of a lot less.
Yeah, you know, people driving 500 miles for a $25 gig, you know, it's like,
That's very special.
very, very special. Yeah, yeah.
By the way, Cynthia, your story about the old people at Pinewoods Camp, there's a moral to that story. No one should underestimate us old duffers and gaffers.
That's right. That's right. And I see Sharon is here. Sharon, I want to thank you for writing a tune to a dance to my tune. That's always made me feel so happy and so special. So yeah, it's a really great dance. So thank you. Thank you for doing that.
I was very grateful that you let me write a dance to your tune. It's a lovely tune.
It's called Newfound Home because I'm always looking for a home in the country. And at that time, we thought we were going to buy this house, and I posted it on Facebook and pictures of it. And Sharon saw it. And so that's why she called the dance Newfound Home, because it was connected to Newfound Lake Waltz. So yeah, that was really nice.
I have to say, by the way, it's pretty well known among my friends that I have a pretty good to excellent memory. In fact, I was once told I had an eidetic memory. I just had forgotten what a beautiful piano player Cynthia is. Wow.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Wow.
We all need that active memory. I just, well, you know, Cynthia, I love hearing you play the articulations that you do and the sensitivity.
Then I have a proverb to give you, which I learned strangely enough in Wales in 1964 when I went to my first Eisteddfod in Wales. And it's an Irish proverb, and it goes something like this: may you never forget that which is worth remembering, and may you never remember that which is best forgotten.
I think that's brilliant. I think we should all keep that in mind. Like all the time. Oh dear.
Well, speaking of pianos, I think, Sharon, you gifted a piano to Country Dance New York.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, and Liza Wu has that piano.
yeah, that's what my memory was. Yeah, that was the parlor grand that David's grandparents had, and that went to California after their death, and then came with us to New York, and wasn't going to come back to California one more time. So it got to stay with Country Dance New York for a while.
Well, then Susan St. Germain had it in her house for a long time.
Yep.
And then it got totally rebuilt, and then Liza bought it. So yeah, so that's a nice ending to that story, right?
Yep. Deserves to be played.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It was a beautiful piano. I have to say about that white piano that was at Dwayne on the stage, even though it was all beat up and everything, I loved playing that piano. There was something about it. I don't know. You know, it was all, I don't know, maybe, anyway, I loved playing that piano. I was kind of sad when it probably got dumped into the Hudson River or something like that. I don't know.
I think only you could coax those notes out. Maybe you loved it so much because you knew, oh, well, I can't play it in this octave, but if I play it over here, it'll sound wonderful.
No, you could play all over that piano. You could play all over that piano.
That wasn't the one with actual notes missing, just like strings out of it. That must have been the other piano in the jumble on the stage.
That was the other one. That was the other. Oh yeah, that was on the stage too, right? There was a second piano on the stage, like a junk piano.
Yeah, we rarely use that one.
Yeah, no, we had that white grand.
Yeah.
Wait, Chip, you're making faces like you know something about that other piano.
Cynthia, you just like that white piano because it brings out your inner Liberace.
Oh, you think? Is that what it is? All I need is the chandelier. I don't have a chandelier.
That could be arranged.
Dorothy, I was making that face because I actually had managed to forget that other piano. I don't remember anything much about it except that it was there and it was obviously unusable.
You've blocked it out. Got it.
Yeah. I'm unmuting. Anyway, maybe my ears are clogged or something, but I always liked playing it. So anyway, I don't know.
Nice. Does anybody else have a piano memory to share?
Well, we could always talk about the upright and how first one string broke and then the second string for that same note broke so that we didn't have that note at all. And then the tuner came and replaced those strings. And of course, they were they stretched and they were constantly out of tune. And that was always, we had to, and we couldn't avoid the key that used, it was an A. And every tune that we do that's in G or D or A needed that note, and we had to try and work out ways to switch octaves or do something so as not to, and it was really hard to do.
Yeah, I'm curious about what's going to be up with that note when we finally get back to that piano.
It might have mellowed. It might be, you know, tunable along with everything else when
Let's
it's
hope.
when it's all tuned
Well,
at once.
Cynthia, bring your hammer.
All right, I'll bring my hammer. Well, you know, when I was in graduate school, I did a lot of concerts, you know, in nursing homes and places like that when I was preparing to play my concert, just to get over my nerves and everything like that. And I remember going to this one place to play a big, like, classical music concert, right? And one of the black keys was missing on the piano. Now, I know it sounds really, one of these keys, you know, and I know it sounds like that's not a big deal, but it's a huge deal. If it's in the middle of the keyboard, you don't realize, but your hands get used to the choreography and the geography of the black and white keys. And if there's a black key missing, it's like, it's crazy. So I spent the whole concert playing all this really complicated music. Like every time I came to that, maybe it was a B flat or something, like, okay, it should be there. Just play the note that's there. It should be there. Oh my God, it was horrible. Of course, that's along with the other place that I played where the piano, as I was moving it on stage, it was on rollers and it kept moving. The piano, literally, this gigantic piano kept moving. Every time I played it, it would move. And so I was constantly having to either move my bench or take my feet around the bottom of it and try to pull it back. This is when it's really great if you have your own instrument. Just take it with you.
What was there at the Philip Kolthoff Center? Was that a keyboard or a piano?
At where?
The Philip Kolthoff Center, where we were for a couple of years.
Yeah, Kolthoff was was that McDougal Street?
Yes.
I think?
Kolthoff.
Yeah.
I don't.
When we weren't going to see.
Oh, the Elizabeth. Oh, that place. Oh, I don't know, but it was a good piano. It was an upright, I think, but it was a good piano.
Yeah, I vaguely remember it.
Yeah.
Or did we set up? No, I guess the contra people had used the electric keyboard.
Yeah, but I think CDNY
at the Y.
had two electric. Now that was a horrible place to dance. Oh my God.
Yeah.
The Y, yeah.
Why they played basketball on the same floor as while everybody was dancing. So while you're dancing, you'd hear basketball playing. That was not fun. Yeah, yeah. But the Kolthoff piano was okay. But now our Yamaha is really great, so.
Cynthia, would you like to tell us anything about how your classical playing informs your country dance playing, or vice versa?
I don't know. I mean, I guess my classical playing, since I come from this as a classical pianist, I guess my classical playing, the idea of phrasing, finding the line, legato, you know, I tend to play with pretty loose wrists and sort of loose fingers.
Yeah. I guess about phrasing is probably a lot of it. You know, and when I play for dances, I really try to play the phrasing like the dancing is, so that, you know, the moves of the dance, the choreography, you know, the sort of going ahead and the moving back, because, you know, dances are phrased, they're, you know, four beats, eight, whatever. So I try to really play in that way. And so that kind of feeds into my classical training too, because you're always working on phrasing and, you know, a 4-bar phrase, a 2-bar phrase, decrescendoing at the end of the phrase, letting it breathe, all of that stuff. So I guess that does. And then I suppose the flip side of it is that as a classical player, I didn't really improvise at all, ever. You just don't. And we never played by ear either. There was no playing by ear. I mean, you took ear training when you were in school, but you never played by ear. And so that informed my classical playing, because I played musical theater, so I did have to improvise in musical theater sometimes. But in this music, you have to improvise all the time. So that really helped free me up in many, many ways. And also in memorization, because people that play by ear memorize things in sections. And classical musicians tend to see things as just note, 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 note. Not all of them, but it's very easy to fall into that trap. Whereas when you memorize things, you just memorize them, you think of them in big swathes of melody. And so it's really helped me in playing. And in fact, some of these tunes, I find that if I know the tune really, really well, like I'll open up the music and I'll look at it and I'll be like, what is that? What tune is that? And then oh yeah, it's that tune. Like all of a sudden the notes have become non-meaningful to me. And so that has helped inform my classical playing, actually. It really, really has. The other thing that informed me was for about 2 or 3 years, I directed a gospel choir. And I would go up to the Bronx and I had this gospel choir. And of course, they didn't read any music at all. So I taught everything to them. But they learned everything so fast. It was unbelievable to me. They, you know, and they could harmonize so quickly. And again, they learned everything in big sections, big sections. So as a classical player, that was really, really helpful to me to sort of get my head out of the music and get my head into a bigger picture. So I was always really thankful to them. Sometimes we'd go to concerts, we'd go to these gospel concerts, and literally this would happen all the time. A singer would start singing a cappella, and the pianist, I would watch the pianist listening to the singer trying to find where the singer was. And then as soon as he found what key the singer was singing in, then wailing away on the piano. It was always the funniest thing to me. I just thought that was just totally amazing. Yeah. So.
Thank you. Great.
You're welcome. I'm sure Chip can identify with a lot of that too, right? A lot of what I said.
Oh yeah. You know, that last little thing makes a good argument for practicing anything in all 12 keys, just to be ready.
Yes, exactly.
I've done that a lot too. And of course, sometimes the singer doesn't stay in the key once you find it.
Well, that's a whole other issue, right?
That becomes their problem.
But I know for me, for playing musical theater, like if people couldn't play, you know, in this key or that key, you know, that really helped with my sight reading and be able to transpose things, you know, just like that, because you have to, right? Because they have the chord symbols in the music, so you can do that, or you can just do it by ear and stuff like that.
One of the things that you said, Cynthia, when we were talking about classical informing dance and dance informing classical, is that I remember being aware, especially in college, how classical pianists spend so much time with solos and playing by themselves that not only do they forget how to relate to other musicians, but they also forget how to keep a beat. So one thing that dance really does is it makes an honest person out of you. If you
Yeah.
can't keep a beat, then the dancers won't be able to do what they came to do. Of course, playing music theater helps with that too. But
Right.
there's nothing like playing for a dance to say, oh yeah, they're depending on me to lay it down. And that's really that's a great, a great skill to have.
Yeah, and I have a tendency to speed up. So it's always, I have to keep always pulling myself back to that beat, pulling myself back. Because the dancers actually need a really strong beat. They really do. Yeah, to keep everything together.
Well, that's a fun visual of all the dancers having to be on the strings, the marionette strings of the musicians. You have absolute power over when we step. Well, listen, Cynthia and Chip and everybody who's participated, I want to thank you again so much for making this a joyful evening together. It just, it really felt normal in a lot of ways, and in the current normal, especially.
Yeah.
But it feels very good. It feels like kind of being home among our dance family. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you so much, Dorothy. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Jeff. Really, thanks CDNY for hosting me, and I'm just really thankful to have this opportunity. So, thank you. Thanks everybody for coming too. Wow, so nice to see so many people here. So, thank you.
Well, Happy New Year, everybody. Come to CDNY Live next Thursday, and come to the next Lore Talk in 2 weeks. Good night, all.
Okay. Good night.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Thank you.